Hi everyone, I hope you're well. Please introduce yourself in the comments. I shall introduce you. Thanks for coming. Right, today, legal, ethical, moral. But before we start with that sort of stuff, let's go back and ask a question that you might just find familiar. So tell me, this one. I reckon that this is the time when everyone gets this one right. I think last time most of you got there. Can we remember what these are? These are, of course, this goes back to system architecture. And it's all about the different registers. So what do we think? Can anyone tell me what these may be? What do we think they are? Any ideas? Any ideas at all what these could be? Ooh, got some comments. Aditya, hello to you. How's things going? So D is the PC, stores the address of the next instruction to be run. Aditya's gone for that for PC. Do we have any more? Do we have any more than that? Oh, hello, Bogdan. Hi, Bogdan. How you doing? Thanks for coming. Bogdan says MAR. Which one? Which one? Which one's the MAR? And Aditya has gone for CACC. ACC is showing the result of a calculation. Hi Hash Brown, how you doing? Thanks for coming. C is ACC. Okay. We've got Bogdan's come in with a proper answer here. I think definitely an air horn for that one. So we've got A MAR, B MDR, C ACC, DPC. Impressive typing there, Bogdan, as well, to get through all of that. What have we got? We've got Sharjeev. Hi Sharjeev, hope all is well. Sharjeev B MDR. And then we've got, who else we've got? We've got Aditya is saying B MDR. We've got Swiftblade. Hi, Swiftblade. How are you doing? Thanks for coming along. And we've got A MAR. All right, we've got a lot of answers there. Let's see what these answers are. MAR stores the address. It's the A for address where data will be read. MDR stores data fetched from memory. Accumulator stores the result of the calculation. So I think you're pretty much there. And the PC, the program counter, it points to the next instruction. Outstanding. So that is good. I'm going to not ask that one again because I think everyone's got that now. If that doesn't turn up in the exam, I'll be really surprised, but it's very often there. So a bit of a rewind here. This is system security, and this is about social engineering. Select the appropriate methods of preventing phishing with a PH. What do we think? What do we think? We should rock. Let's have a look. Aditya has gone for C, appropriate method of preventing phishing. Hi, Flynn. How you doing? Thanks for coming. Flynn's gone for C. Hash Brown's gone for C. I think we should give you a bit of this. Swiftblade has gone for A. Jumbo Lizard. Hi, Jumbo Lizard. Hunter has gone for C. And hi, Henry. How's things? Hope all is well. C again, and Sharjeev C. I think one of those really annoying air horns is appropriate. Of course, you are all correct. It is about staff training. If only my head, I've learned to turn that way, wasn't in the way. There we go, staff training. Excellent. Let's get on. Next one. And this is viruses rely on A. And don't forget, viruses do rely on this, and Trojans don't. Or maybe viruses do, he says, giving the answer away again. Can you remember what it is? What do viruses rely on? Ooh, hello, hello, hello. This is fast. We've got Swiftblade with A. That is outstanding. Oh, hi, Sergen. How you doing? Bit jealous of you lot in the transfer window. My lot didn't do very much. Hash Brown, A. Woo! Bogdan, A. Sharjeev, A. Aditya, A. Flynn, A. Jumbo Lizard, A. Hi, Emily May. Thanks for coming. You are A. You are all superstars. The answer is... Dun, 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 dun. Oh, if I could press the button, all that build-up, the answer is A. Outstanding. And of course, it's worms that don't require a host program. That's the starter they usually go for on that one. All right, let's do a couple more of these and then get into the meat of legal, ethical, moral, environmental. This one, I just think it's hard to remember which way they go. Can anyone remember? Doing a 2-bit left logical shift has what effect? What do you reckon? Divides by 2. So we've got Aditya coming in straight with a D. He says multiplies the number by 4. Any more takers on this one? Bogdan is also saying D. Multiplies by 4. Swift Blade's gone for a B. Split the field. Emily May's on for a D. We've got Sergen with a D. D is popular here, and Jumbo Litter's gone for C. I think we've got everything covered now apart from A. D for Sharjeev. Okay, and D for Flynn. All right, so the answer is... Bam, bam, bam. It's D. So well done, guys. You were nearly mostly all the way there for that. Hard to remember. If you got it wrong, just remember to try and find a way of sticking that inside your head. Use a mnemonic, all right? A mnemonic. Brilliant. So that is the left logical shift. I think I put this one in next. No, I didn't. What's it all about? Legal, ethical, moral. So this is I think the very last one that we have to do on paper 1. So we've covered system architecture, memory and storage, computer networks, system security, system software, and then here we are. This is the last one. We go on to paper 2 next. We're doing something slightly different with paper 2. I'll be getting Miss Silver involved slightly more, and we'll be doing a bit of a walking, talking mock, I suppose, on some of the papers, because that might be a better way of doing it, so you can see the thought process. Yes, it is, isn't it? It is a wordy thing. And it's a little bit as though OCR thought, oh, I know, we ought to do something about computers in the world. So it's a bit of a ragtag bunch of different elements. The problem for you is that this question is going to be worth 8 marks in the final exam. And as we know, marks make grade boundaries, and grade boundaries make us happy when they're higher. And 8 marks is quite a lot. It's not an entire grade boundary, but it's not far off. So what's required in this? The idea that technology and I suppose because I'm old, look at this lack of hair here. Because I'm old and I've been around, I was here before we used computers for anything. But since technology has arrived, it has brought with it ethical, legal, cultural and environmental and privacy issues. Don't say privacy, Americans say privacy, we say privacy. Knowledge of a variety of examples of digital technology. So you've got to be able to talk about different types of technology and how they've brought these issues, and to discuss the impact based around the issues listed. So now I want to show you something else just for a second. I've gone a bit analog here, but I was going through, as I've done with both my groups, one of the sort of past papers we did, and yeah, I know I couldn't help just throwing some handwriting at you. This is, you know how this question's marked in bands? The top band is 5 to 8, and the middle band is like 3 to 5, and the bottom band is 2 or less. To hit that top band where you're accessing marks 6 through 8, I think it is, this is what is in there. Do you show a wide, thorough knowledge? Have you used the context of the question? So if they're talking about mobile phone users, have you talked about them? So they will give you a scenario, a context. You've got to make sure that you actually tackle that context in your answer, and that you somehow hone your question to ensure. Well, do you know, Aditya, that's really interesting, because I was talking to Lisette, and Lisette did part of her education in France. And of course, all French school children are taught to write the same way. And it's not quite the same as that. But yeah, I've got quite neat handwriting. I was forced at gunpoint at school to have nice handwriting. Thankfully, people aren't as fussy about it now, because it is only handwriting. But it was considered the be all and end all when I was at school. Anyway, those are the 3 things, and arguing both sides of the argument. So, you know, when you're thinking about putting your question together, so putting your answer together, having that mantra, a wide knowledge, context of the question, and both sides of the argument. And I was reminded of someone who's in this chat today, and I won't mention his name because it'll embarrass him, but he could get quite, he could get quite impassioned about talking about one side of the argument. And that's good. But don't forget, to hit the full marks here, you've got to show both sides of the argument. So no one actually cares what you think. It's that you understand both sides of it. So you're not on a soapbox saying what you think about the world. You can use that for the side that you believe in, but you've got to also argue the other side. So I thought that would be quite useful for you to just have that inside your head. Wide, thorough knowledge, which is kind of obvious, but context of the question, arguing both sides. That's what's really important there. All right, so let's jump onto this. We're going to do 2 weeks worth of this, because it is What's difficult with this topic is it's quite slippery. No, it wasn't you, but someone came up to me and showed me that answer and said, is this a bit ranty? And I said, yes, but that's not a problem that your answer's ranty, but you've got to show the other side of it as well. So if you're saying that X is true and is good about technology, say what's bad about it. Or if you're saying that, mobile phones are bad for this reason, talk about the features they have that mean that you can do that you can do more useful things as well. So that's sort of where it is. Do you remember that there was a medical one we did where it was making us argue both sides of technology and medicine? And it can make it impersonal, but also fewer mistakes will get made when you're diagnosing using IT, using technology. Okay, so no eagles in this. Ethical, legal, cultural, environmental, and privacy. Privacy is easy because that relates to GDPR and the fact that people's data needs to be kept in a certain way so it's safe. And these sort of data breaches are an example of where that's gone totally wrong. Right, 5-minute teach. What have I done? I've done 11 minutes. So we're in about the right place now. So I'm going to whiz through the basics of what this is about, first of all, to make sure you've got a handle on what's included. And then next week, I'm going to look at some examples and try to sort of show you how you can go about answering these questions. So let's look at technology first of all. We know that computers and new technologies bring many benefits, but of course, they also bring issues such as privacy issues, ethical, legal, cultural, and environmental concerns. So there you can see it's arguing both sides of these issues and, of course, knowing what each of these means. So we've got privacy, which is about your data being kept secure, so it's not available to others. You've got ethical, which is right or wrong, not in the eyes of the law, but right or wrong. You've got legal, which is right or wrong in the eyes of the law. You've got cultural, to do with how people behave, which is a slippery one. And then you've got environmental concerns. Now, you guys generally nail the environmental bit because you can talk about the carbon footprint, you can talk about the precious metals in phones, about landfill, about exporting our waste to Africa, about e-waste, about using paper and all that sort of stuff. But the cultural and the ethical are the ones that tend to leave people scratching their heads in the exam. All right, so then we've got considering the key stakeholders. So you know this mantra we talked about with the bit of paper I showed you there? Oftentimes they ask you to consider the key stakeholders. And that does mean taking a moment or two to think about all the different people who could be involved at any stage of the process. So say, for example, if it was mobile phones, you could talk about the manufacturers, the users, you could talk about the people who sell, the retailers who sell the phone, and then you can talk about the governments who collect taxes on the phones that are sold. You can talk about landfill and the countries who end up having this e-waste exported to them. So there's all sorts of ways that you can go. When they ask about stakeholders, you mustn't just pick the first two, because to access that 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th mark, you need to have thought about all the stakeholders. And I may say this over 100 times when I try and teach this topic. Do not start writing straight away. You've got 8 or 9 minutes for this. Plan for 5 minutes. Don't start writing. You can do some notes about, sort of brainstorming what you want to put, but the minute you start writing your essay, it's over because you've stopped thinking at that point. You're just busy trying to put down what's inside your head. Put some notes in the margin and actually plan this like a mini essay, because you've got, like I say, you've got 9 minutes to get it sorted out. All right, then we go on to understanding the wider impact of computers and to think about the consequences of their use. And then we've got computer-related laws. And don't forget, I gave you that knowledge organizer. I think you've all got a copy of it. And that knowledge organizer has got a very succinct summary of the laws that you need to be aware of. And it's the design copyrights and patents, the Computer Misuse Act, and GDPR. And those are your main ones, all right? Those are the ones that you need to consider. So that's what this topic is all about. So let's now think about stakeholders. A stakeholder we can describe as anyone who is impacted or involved in the actions of an organisation or in a product. So it could be a company owner, employees, shop that sells their product. It's really important that you try and think about all the stakeholders. That extra minute you spend thinking, who else is involved in this product somewhere. And if you can pull out an extra 2 rather than the 2 or 3 that jump into your mind, that you've got a much better chance of giving a more thorough, well-rounded sort of argument, and perhaps being able to argue both sides of it more easily. So stakeholders is a really important thing to have in your mind when you're trying to answer these questions. That they sometimes tell you who the stakeholders are and then ask you to do something else. But we've seen that 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3, they ask you to think about the stakeholders. Right, environmental issues, which obviously relates to the natural world and the ways that technology impact. And we talked about energy consumption, the carbon footprint. Now, when you talk about the carbon footprint, make your point and move on. You're not going to get extra marks for showing a really high level of knowledge about what the carbon footprint is. So if you're starting to talk about it takes all of the greenhouse gases and it adds them all together, and it's called a carbon footprint, even though it's not really carbon, it consists of a whole lot of different, you've gone too far. So don't go down there, but make sure you can succinctly describe it and move on. And don't forget, we're looking more and more at the mark schemes now, and they are short. They are simply bullet points. So while in this case you have got to write a sort of essay, don't worry about going on forever about one thing. Move on. And if you are waffling about one thing, maybe go back to your planning and think about a bit more brainstorming before you get going. Sustainability, recycling, and e-waste. There are more, but those are the key issues. Look at that knowledge organizer that I gave you, and that's what you need to focus on there. Okay, ethical relates to, yes, I will dig out. Is it going to be easier or fine if I stick it on Satchel 1? Only because I've got reach to all the classes via Satchel 1, so I can easily put it on there. Is that all right? I'll stick it on Satchel 1 for you. I'll do it after this. So ethical, relating to beliefs about what is right or wrong. And that's ensuring public safety, because new technologies bring safety concerns. And it's about the security of data. So the ethical side isn't just about data, it's also about people being safe. Yeah, no problem. I'll get it on there afterwards. Thanks, Swiftblade. Security of data, personal data needs to be kept safe, and that's a bit of GDPR there. That sort of tags in with the GDPR laws. Okay, so that's the ethical side of things, and we'll look at some examples of these next time, because we're going to. It's a big topic to try and cover in two 20-minute sessions. Cultural, this is a really slippery one. It's easy for me to say it's about how people behave, but thinking about examples of this when you're in a 1.5-hour exam and you're under pressure, it's easier said than done. So again, on that knowledge organizer, have 3 or 4 different areas that you can talk about when it comes to culture, to cultural issues, and then just try and mold them towards the scenario, the context of the question. So relating to habits, traditions, and beliefs of a society. Hello Lola, thanks for coming. So this is the one that you can always use, is the digital divide. So get that one in there. And it's the division by those who can use technology and those who can't use technology, or those who have technology and those who don't have technology. And I have talked at too much length about Crawley being a really good example of the digital divide over the course of COVID, because Gatwick Airport is such an important part of Crawley. It was the town most affected by COVID in terms of people losing their jobs and people going into furlough. And a lot of people didn't have access to technology, which made working from home really hard. And we're relying on not very fast broadband speeds and old technology. And I was saying earlier, if you don't have a device and you don't have broadband access, applying for a job is really hard. So this digital divide is a really important one that you can probably find a few different areas to talk about within that. And the changing nature of employment. So this would be a benefit, you see, that you could talk about how people are now able to work from home. Remote learning means that people don't have to travel. It means that it means that if you have disabilities, you won't have to go and get on a train. So there are all sorts of benefits that technology brings, but equally it can bring isolation, and it can bring not having the latest mobile phone can bring bullying. So there are all sorts of arguments that you can that you can talk about there. And again, we'll go through the specific arguments next time. I've got a dog who's really hassling me. Right, quiz time. Let me just get this done for you. Quiz time is a bit of this. Let's have a go at the quiz time and see how you do. So first question is this. Why are data centers an environmental issue? And while you answer that, I will bore you slightly by saying data centers are where all of the information that is stored on the cloud is housed. So for example, when you save something into, I've got, what have I got? Whenever you use Dropbox or Creative Cloud, you are saving things in data centers, and they're massive warehouses full of servers and racks of storage, and they're big. All right, so what have we got? We've got, hang on, Aditya BC. So I think we had Sharjeev with B. I think we had Emad with B. I think we had Hash Brown with B. And we had Aditya with B and C. Good answer, that one. Bogdan with B. Emily May with B. God, you're all jumping in here. Swiftblade with B. Sergen with B. And Lola with B. Right, let's go to the next bit then. And you're all super smart. And I like the fact that Aditya, I think that's hard to argue with. They might not necessarily take up green spaces, because it could be other space they're using, but I think that was not a bad answer. But B, they consume a lot of power. And when you're answering this question, you can then extend that by saying, and that is negative, especially if the power does not come from renewable sources. So if it doesn't come from wind or from solar power or any other kind of renewable source that I can't think of, wind, wave, solar, doesn't come from that. If it's coming from fossil fuels, then it adds to the carbon footprint. So it's a negative thing. I mean, don't bore them with the fact that every Google search you do is 0.75 of a gram of carbon, but it's quite a lot, isn't it? What about this one? Which category does e-waste fall under? Legal, ethical, cultural, or environmental? Did I skip Man Like Paul? I couldn't see Man Like Paul here. Is Man Like Paul in today? He normally is. Did I not say hello to him? Let's have a look. We've got Aditya with D. We've got Hash Brown with D. We've got Sergen with D. We've got Sharjeev with D. We've got Emad with D. We've got Swiftblade with D. I think I'm going to have to play an annoying noise. Let's go for that one. And Bogdan with D. That is outstanding. You're all, of course, correct. That was quite an easy one, wasn't it? Really. All right. What about this one? What is meant by the term stakeholder? I think quite easy. Is it, well, you can see the options there. The person who owns a product or organization, a stakeholder, anyone has interest or concern product or organization, or a stakeholder is the person who buys products from an organization. What do the assembled genii think on this one? Man Like Paul is there. I'm going to welcome you. Hello, Man Like Paul. I've missed that face. That always makes me happy. I think we've got Bogdan with a D. Swiftblade with an A. We've got Man Like Paul with a D. We've got Aditya with A and B. We've got Emad with A. We've got Sharjeev with B. This has split the field. We have Flynn with B. We're getting more Bs there. We've got Sergen with a B. A B for Boskurt. We're getting in there. Any more for any more? I think, again, we should go for a happy triangle there. Bogdan with B. I thought I'd done you. Oh, no, you didn't. Bogdan with B. Right, so the answer is... Bam, bam, bam. It's B. Woo! We are there. All right, outstanding. I'm going to finish on time. I might even finish 2 minutes early today. So what about this one? What is a cultural impact of digital technology? Is it digital divide, pollution from device manufacture? Should be about manufacturing. I hate it when teachers make mistakes. Should it be or data security? What do we think? Oh, they're coming flooding in. We've got Aditya with A, Emad with A. We have got Swiftblade with A. We've got Sharjeev with A. We've got Sergen with A. They're all rolling in. Bogdan with A. Emily May with A. Oh, I like your skeleton. No signal. We've got Flynn with A. We've got Conso Bonso and welcome Conso Bonso with A. We've got a man like Paul with S. Okay. Nah. Well, yeah. Okay. If only S was an answer. You could be right and we're all wrong, man like Paul, with that elegant picture. Oh, okay. A change of plan. It is A. Listen, that digital divide one, it is nearly always in the mark scheme, nearly always there. So make sure that you get it in there, okay? A couple more of these. So that's good. You've all got that. Let me do you a annoying air horn, which seems to be on every live stream. Right, what's next? We have got, what is a benefit of using robots in the health service in the future? Do you remember that we did a question on this? And people always tend to do quite badly with these. Ooh, Ditches come in with a C straight away. Bogdan's in with a C. So what have we got? we've got Swift Blade with a C. Wow, we've got Emily May with a C. We've got Sergen with a C. We've got Conso Bonso with a C. We've got Emma. Well, I mean, who am I? Who am I to argue? We've got Sharji with a C. We've got Flynn with a C. So let's see. Dun dun dun. I bet you. Why do I always do C's in my head? It's always in the way, being crushed by a tick. It serves me right for being a teacher. All right. So what's this one? I think this is the last one. 56. So define ethics with an F. Define ethics. Rules for how to behave in certain situations. A set of moral principles that govern someone's behavior and actions. The right for your personal data to be kept secure. I think it's catching. Emad's invented a new one. I'm going to assume that's B and not VB. We've got Aditya with a C. Ooh, split the crowd here. We've got Flynn with a B. We've got Swiftblade with a double C. Good Lord, you're creating new questions here. Conso Bonso with a B. Sharji with an A. Sergen Boskurt with a B. We've got Emily May with a B. Well. And we've got Man Like Paul with an E. Aha. Do you know what I think it is, E? I reckon that's probably what it is. Shall we see? Let's play some exciting music. And the answer is... Dun, dun, dun. It's B. A set of moral principles that govern someone's behaviour and actions. Yes, now ethics can be written down into a code of ethics that you're expected to follow, but it's different from a law, which is a legal framework. So at least with this, how would I approach this topic? I personally would make sure that you get the easier stuff covered off first. And that is thinking about the environmental, because that's simple, and then making sure you know the laws, because that's also quite straightforward, and then work your way in and have a look at the other three. I want to also just give you another moment to have a little look at this, to think about thorough knowledge, which is stating the absolute obvious, but the context of the question and arguing both sides, they need to be in your answer to hit that top band of 6, 7 or 8 marks out of 8. And for a lot of you, I mean, I marked 2 sets worth of the mocks, and I could count on the fingers of one hand those people who actually got in that top band. And with these questions, it is difficult, but if you plan and you keep that mantra inside your head along with the stakeholders one, that would be really, really, really important. Okay, let's jump back to this. So I'm going to do, next time I'm going to cover the laws, but they're pretty straightforward. And I'm going to kind of split it halfway between looking at the laws and then looking at the knowledge organizer that I gave out to you guys, where we can think about how we can have a number of set ideas we can take in, and then how we can mold those towards the question that we're asked. There is, of course, a possibility that OCR might decide to drop this for the exam. They're going to let us know, I think it's the something of February, in a week or two's time, if they're going to drop anything from the exam, but I don't think they will. I think that because they dropped the programming element, the NEA, the non-examined assessment, I think that's going to be it. And they'll say that you will have gained something from that. Right, guys, it's 18:59. It has been a pleasure, as always. Thank you so much for coming. We've had over 30 people here today, which is brilliant. So well done for taking the effort during your time to come here. I will see you in exactly a week and we'll do exactly the same thing. It's 7 o'clock. Have a lovely evening. Bye bye, guys.